Today, 5 mistakes you need to avoid when you are speaking. Why do you want to avoid these mistakes? A lot of times speakers make mistakes that take the focus away from the audience, that take the attention away from what they're trying to say, and it confuses the audience. Anything that causes audience confusion is going to turn their brains off. I got these 5 tips from Jerry Wiseman's Presenting to Win. And here we go with tip number 1, no clear point. A lot of times speakers will get up on stage and they will throw a lot of information at you, but they don't necessarily know what the point of their speech is. How do you resolve this? Make sure that you can summarize your entire talk in a sentence. Have an idea that you can present quickly to someone when they ask, what's your speech about? Do this. Ask people after you've spoken, what was my speech about? If people give you different answers or they can't give you a clear answer, then they're not clear and they're not going to follow any of your advice. So remember, tip number 1, have a clear point. Tip number 2, no audience benefit. If the audience doesn't know that there is something in it for them, they're not going to listen. Get that out of the way very quickly by making them a big promise early in your speech. You're going to get something, you're going to pick up something, you're going to learn something. Give them something that they can hang on to, even if it's in your biography, that the person's reading about you before you take the stage. Something that they're going to get that's going to help them change their lives or change whatever it is that you want them to change before they leave. If you tease them with that, then by the time you tell them everything you need to tell them, they will be thinking of that big promise. So make sure there's a benefit for them. Number 3 is no clear flow. A lot of times we have this information overload in our head and we want to dump that on our audience. Don't do that. Don't dump information on your audience. Have a clear flow for your speech. How do you do that? Simply outline, outline, outline. Outline your introduction, your main points, and your conclusion. As you're writing your speech or putting it together, make sure that you not only have all your content, but you have a simple 1-page or so outline that shows you exactly where you're going. You're going to introduce with this, you're going to go through your points, and then end with your conclusion. It's kind of like when you were in school, or if you're in school, and you're told to write an essay. You're probably told to have an introduction, have your 3 main points, and then have a conclusion. Think of speaking the same way. And that way, if you forget little parts of your content, your outline will come to memory as you're speaking and you'll know, okay, well, I'm in first point, go to second point, go to next point. That will avoid so much confusion. Tip number 4 is too detailed. Too detailed. Too much information can be avoided by doing this. Have your talk separated out so that you cover one major point every 7 to 10 minutes. If you have a 50-minute talk, 5-0, have about 5 points that you talk about, or 4 points that you talk about with an introduction and a conclusion. Separate it down, know in your head, using that outline as to how to break down your talk, and have points separated by 7 to 10 minute intervals. So that way you do not over detail your content and therefore your crowd. And finally, too long. Have you ever heard a speaker that went on for too long? Hopefully I'm not going on too long here. But when you hear that on stage, when you see someone that was given 20 minutes and gone 30 minutes, or given 30 minutes and they go for an hour, that's a total lack of respect for the crowd and the people that brought you in to speak. If you're given 11 minutes, go for 9. If you're given an hour, go for 45 to 50 minutes. It's always better to go a little bit less and give other people a chance to speak and give your crowd a chance to have a break from you than it is to go even a minute too long. Respect the people that brought you in to speak. Respect your crowd. Don't go too long. Remember those 5 tips because speakers still do them. They still make these mistakes. Avoid these cardinal speaking mistakes and get that book, Jerry Wiseman's book, Presenting to Win. And remember, if you got value from this video, go right down below the video, click here to subscribe.